the group. Share, share, share.
Bendición.
Hey there, bendiciones. Hi, Mambo Carrie.
Hola.
What's been going on? I just want to give you a little, everyone a little minute. Hop on over here.
Yep.
What's been going on with you? Everything good, good?
Yeah, everything's pretty good. I mean, I'm flowing, you know. Even if it wasn't good, it's still gonna be great. Hi, Al.
I hear ya. You know, yeah, we do what it do.
Yeah.
Yeah, do. While we wait, hey Al. While we wait for some heads come in here, I'll smoke me a cigarette. Because Facebook lets you smoke the cigarette. Everywhere else doesn't.
I know. I didn't know that. They block content.
Yeah. They blocked a video that I did on one of them because of me smoking a cigarette. I wasn't even smoking like that. I just had it burning in my hand. I was like, wow.
Wow.
Tell me how you really feel.
Right? Hey, David.
What's up, David? What's up, Uni? Oh, Valerie, how you doing, Uni? How you doing, love? Do you have anything specific you wanted to talk about today that you thought of?
Well, you've been actually posting a lot of stuff for covering like with the racism and all of that stuff. So that's actually been amazing because it's actually stuff, you know, that we dealt with and we talked about even, you know, personally and in our spiritual house. Um, I just want to add a little tidbit to that. Be mindful what we ingest on these platforms. When you watch a movie, we know that it's fake. These are actors. Everybody can go on camera and become a personality and act very different than how they really act in their real life. A lot of these people we probably wouldn't even be friends with or cross paths with because we wouldn't even be in the same circles. And we also have to remember many of us have anxiety, fear, depression. And if you're one of those, right, and racism is rooted in fear. So that in itself tells me that you're struggling with something mentally, emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be very mindful of what we listen to. And then also they're planting seeds of hate and segregation into a beautiful practice, right? And they're trying to police something that is not for you to enforce. If you want to be a teacher, then you teach. You don't enforce.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so just add that tidbit. And when we're watching these people on social media, you take everything with a grain of salt. Most of the times, because you know, I have early when I started, you know, learning with you and you know, and being a part of the spiritual house, I did actually go back and forth with a lot of people online. And really what they did was hide my comments, right? Not respond to me, but hide them so I can see it, but other people can't.
Mm-mm.
So really, they don't want to resolve it.
No.
They want the conflict.
They want conflict and they want some clout.
And drama.
Yeah. Well,
Because
you know, like one thing, like I was saying to Mambo T, is that hate sells, drama sells. I mean, that's what people consume on TV.
yeah.
So when you find those people who are really filled with hate and drama all the time, it's because that sells.
Mm-hmm.
people want to pay money for.
Exactly.
Okay? And however, the people who are living in that um, experience are actually the only ones who really suffer.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're suffering all the time with all this weight that gets carried by anger and hate, et cetera, et cetera. And like you yourself, you were never really a hateful or angry person, but it didn't mean you didn't have some anger inside when you first came, right? And you could see the difference in your life when that got resolved versus sometimes there's things that we're angry about that we don't even know we're angry about it still, right?
And
Because
years.
it adds up in layers,
Yeah.
right? And so when you actually start doing the proper development work, you start uncovering layers and layers, and you're like, oh shit, this came from over here.
Yeah.
Oh shit, this came from over there. Oh shit, this is what's been controlling my life, running my life. This is what's been controlling my actions and how I live.
Yep.
And so, however, what I have noticed as well is the people who are filled a lot of times with this rage and this hate, I'm not jealous of their life. Their life is nothing to be jealous of, right?
No.
It manifests itself in their workplace, their financials, their, their love life, their relationships with friends and families.
Yeah.
And it's manifesting itself, and they're blocking themselves, and they're actually keeping themselves down. And in reality, hate is a form of self-sabotage.
Yes. Yes.
So like if you're trying, and we all have situations that, make us angry, upset, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
but if you're trying to really move forward and you know that you're someone who's been filled, and I'm not saying it may not be for a valid reason, you may have your valid reasons or what you believe is valid,
Mm-hmm.
but if that shit happened so long ago and it's dragging you, then that's where you need to look out to resolve.
Yeah.
Right. And like you said, a lot of times with a lot of these social medias, these social media personalities, so on and so forth, they will shut off the comments. They'll shut off the comments. They'll delete your comments. They won't let your comments be
They'll
seen.
block you.
They'll block you. They'll block your commentary, so on and so forth.
And we get put
right?
in social media jail because I was put there.
Yeah, exactly, right? And that's what I call like throwing stones and hiding for cover,
Yep.
right? Which just speaks about the fear,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like you throw stones and then you hide your hands. That's what we say in Spanish, right? You throw stones and you hide your hands, or you throw stones and then you hide yourself. And most of the time when that happens, that really tells you where they're coming from, right? And I believe it's a situation that actually requires a little bit more compassion, simply because like that person's obviously going through it.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not having an existence to be jealous of.
Exactly.
Like people, when I did all these videos on racism, people got real hip hop Harry, right? They got hippity hoppity, hippity hoppity, hippity hoppity, right? And I just threw out a video out there just like right before this live. Everybody just jumped to assume that when I was speaking about racism, I was speaking at it from two perspectives. Number one, as far as like what's happened, maybe what I dealt with.
Mm-hmm.
When in reality, it wasn't even about me. Number two, no, it was basically a group of African Americans had gone down to the island,
Yeah.
the group, and they experienced it. And so they asked me, would I address it because it's something that no one will address. Okay. Then shortly after that, I don't know if these people were part of the same group or somewhere else. I had like 3 or 4 different African Americans as well as Hispanics,
Mm-hmm.
Latinos coming to me about the same exact thing. So everybody got real hip hop Harry, thinking that I was talking about the discrimination that happens against white people or white skinned people, right? And just exposed themselves and all the hate that they have and all the anger and unresolved issues that they have with race and I'm like I said, it doesn't mean it's not valid.
Yeah.
I've seen it where people appropriate cultures and then they're rude to the originators.
Oh yeah.
People, it happens all the time, you know, where people take from Black culture and then they want to be crappy to Black people and they want to continue to be racist.
Mm-hmm.
There's even times I've seen racists be in voodoo temples while still being racist. Okay, so it's not something that doesn't happen, and it's not to negate that experience.
Yeah.
Everybody got hip hop Harry. Everybody really made that quick assumption about on whose half I was talking, right? But you got to see it through, my boy. You got to see it through. Can't assume the end of the movie before you watch the end of the movie.
Because they from their level of understanding, from their perspective.
Yeah.
So they all see through their own eyes, through their traumas and all the stuff that they're dealing with, their filters.
Absolutely. And it, like the video I just said, was like it blocks spiritual sight. When you have a bias on something, whether it's one way or another, you're going to block clear spiritual sight.
Yes. Yes. And anger is going to do that. You know, deep sadness is going to do that, you know.
Rage, hate, greed, like all these things are going to like cloud your vision.
Destructive forces. So you're not happy, right? You're not joyful, you're not peace, because those feelings, those emotions aren't going to fight that.
No. Those are not war like emotions, right?
Yeah.
Those emotions of peace, of happiness, acceptance, joy, all those things, those love, all those things are not intended to fight battles. Exactly. They're kind of like introverts, right? They're there and you can notice them if everybody else shuts up and everybody else leaves, right? If you get rid of the others, then peace can come.
Yeah.
Joy can come. If you get rid of the hate, you get rid of the anger, the greed, all those things, then you allow a space for those good things, those good forces to come.
Exactly. It can't reside in a space that's already filled.
No. And, you know, it's sad because sometimes it's like, you know, you see these people, some of them have some potential. Everybody has potential, right? And like I always say about people who do scams and stuff like that, you know, a lot of times people who pull scams are incredibly intelligent.
Of course. Yeah.
If you apply that same intelligence to something more constructive, beneficial, that wouldn't cause you harm in the long run, how much further would you have gotten in life?
Yeah. If you utilize that to benefit you in the right way, to raise your consciousness, to raise your awareness, to grow and develop. You want to act like a child and be a child, you know, and I feel it's unfortunate because it's like they look for this drama. So they go onto other people's pages, look at things, you know, press record, and then they post it, and then they talk a bunch of garbage about it. And most of the time, like there was one video that I saw, and, you know, it was about, I believe it was 21 Division or something like that, but she was a Hispanic woman, and they completely were talking about her crazy and saying that this is impossible. I think she was like mounted with like Down tour or something like that. But nothing I saw in the video would have alerted me that something was wrong. It was a lie, or she was saluting properly. She was using the proper, you know, she was doing what she was supposed to do properly in a ritual. It did not, or ceremony, it didn't look incorrect. But immediately they're like, no, 21 Division, you know, Dominicans can't do this with the Haitian spirits, and it just became only about that. And if they talk about race, then they're talking about the money. Oh, they're only doing it for money. But meanwhile, a lot of these people have multiple, you know, they're initiating multiple ATRs. That's a lot of money. You didn't do
Yeah.
that for free.
Was it this one that's like, I think it's called Temple Seven Chakras or something like that?
I don't know. I don't remember the name because I saw
But
it and then I just immediately got upset because
other people inside.
I remember it was just the woman and then the person that was helping her.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember that the space was colored. It must have been her Dantor's like temple or something. It was everything was blue and
Oh
red.
yeah, I think I know exactly what you're talking about. That woman is Brazilian.
Okay.
Right. But this is what I want to mention, like what you said. How much money did she spend to build that temple? How much investment did she pour out for her initiations, her studies, to put out that temple? Nothing in this world is cheap or free, right? So how much money has been put out there? And it's always funny that the people who contribute the least criticize the most. The people who sacrifice the least talk the most crap, talk the most hate, right? And I saw comments like that under the video, but then I would also see a lot of comments. And just from being around for so long, I can kind of tell when someone's actually like from Haiti versus, someone's Haitian American or has Haitian descent or et cetera, et cetera. There were plenty of comments from Haitian priests and priestesses in Haiti
Mm-hmm.
who are like, I don't see nothing wrong with it. Good on her. Look at what she's doing. Oh, yeah, our lois are going everywhere, which is my whole thing, too. It's like, if what you're doing is the truth and it's really helped you, and you want it to be respected at a world religion level,
Mm-hmm.
that means you got to drop the hate, right? That means you got to kind of do something that a lot of people find very hard to do, which I call grow up, right? You can't keep throwing tantrums.
Yeah.
Some individuals have been throwing tantrums for years, right? My grandson completes a tantrum in like less than a minute.
Yeah.
Partially because other people are feeding into these tantrums, right? Versus my grandson, you're not going to get anything from throwing a tantrum.
Exactly. It's being ignored.
But you cross your arms, you're huh.
Yep.
And after like two or 3 seconds, he'll just start laughing as if it just didn't happen because you're not getting anything from it, right? And a lot of people have been taught, they get a lot from throwing tantrums.
They get a lot from talk too. A lot of talk is cheap, and it's unfortunate because there's not a lot of people that will. And if you see something wrong or you feel like something is being done wrong, go to the Mambo, the Hugon that runs the temple, right, and talk to them. What's the problem?
Yeah.
Grown-ups.
Yeah. But I know asking for grown-ups is sometimes asking too much. I just want to go through the comments here. Hi, Letitia. Hi, Bonnie. Hey, Erica. Lavetta. Hey, darling. Yeah. Hey, G. She mentions like hate damages people's brain cells. True. That's why you see they don't hardly have any left, right? Um, Erica mentions there's so many layers when you're working on like anger and things of that nature, and it can be draining. And then everything be a problem all day. Not only is everything a problem all day, but then you make your problem everybody else's problem.
And then people have to suffer your emotions, and that's not fair. Your emotions are yours.
Exactly. Take some ownership over that,
Exactly.
okay? Because without ownership, you can't resolve, right? Hey, Michelle. People be quick to assume, absolutely. Typing without listening or reading things through. This is what Carla says. Diarrhea of the fingers.
It is.
Yeah, and the mouth. They don't want to get rid of it, and they love it, David mentions. Yeah, they do. They love that because when you hate and when you become angry like that, you make that the purpose of your life, right? can there be inversions of also someone's connections that they haven't elevated yet? That's the thing about spiritual stuff. I want to hit that point in a minute. Hey, Lori. Hey, Mojuba Egun. So,
Yeah,
they
I suffer
don't take
from that.
ownership because everyone else is the problem, not them. Yeah, it keeps you in that victim mentality that everyone else is the problem, but not you. Here's what I want to mention about like the inverted connections. You can only connect with a spirit that's as elevated as yourself. If you're not that elevated, you're not going to connect with the spirit at that evolved, in its most evolved nature.
Nope. Nope.
You're going to be connecting with that spirit at a lesser, in its kind of like span of a lesser evolved version of that spirit.
Yeah.
Right? That's why I tell people, like, you know, it's not uncommon, like Danto.
Mm-hmm.
Danto is also the queen and considered big patroness of like the black magic temples.
Mm-hmm.
Sampuel. And Danto is also a big spirit that served in Guinea temples, clean-handed temples, right? But it's because they're connecting with different elevations of that spirit, in
Yeah.
that spirit at a lesser evolved
Yeah.
state.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I had a huge problem with that early on in my early years with spirituality because I was overly sensitive, and it turned me into somebody else. You know,
And it also makes you hear shit that's not what the person's trying to say, right? It's like you take offense at things that person ain't even saying that,
like,
bro. Like, you're
your
ready to
feelings is
pop
hurt for no
off before
reason.
the person completed a sentence. Like, that's what I said about everybody hip hop Harry, right? Because I told like a story about something I witnessed
Mm-hmm.
and I lived through, and then da da da, you know, episode 3 or 2 reveals like actually the people who are dealing with this racism against them
Mm-hmm.
were actually African Americans. Look at that. But everybody assumed real quick on that they knew what I'm talking about.
Yep.
Right? And I did that purposefully. You
Yeah.
know, I must admit. Right? Like I was waiting for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you already know how someone's going to perceive the information, because most people perceive it through their filters.
Exactly. You know, and I was proud of them, you know, for
They
being
they,
themselves.
were, they got
For
they got an A.
colors, yeah. You know, if you can't do it anywhere else, at least try on the internet.
Everybody got a platform and everybody got a voice, right?
Yep, and we all gonna do it, right? So then someone else here says that they're dealing with Isheshe, but they have strong energy with other ATRs. I think that's a good point for us to talk about, right?
Yeah.
And then David mentions like they say Metrezili's always depressed and never satisfied and wanting more. Yeah, that's talking about the spirit not yet at an elevated stance.
Mm-hmm.
Not elevated stance. Selective hearing, yeah. Selective hearing, selective listening. Most people can hear, most people can't listen. But yeah, when people be talking that about Metrezili, like that she's too much this, too much that, depressed, da 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 da. All they're actually saying is they're actually telling you where they themselves are
With it, what they need to work on.
and where they, because of where they are, what they can connect with.
Mm-hmm. Because if you are in that level already, suffering from depression, heartache, or whatever, and you let it and you hold it in, you linger it, and it's attaching itself to you, and you're working with this spirit, that's how you're going to connect with her.
Well, also like the law of attraction, law of vibration, right? That's the energy you're giving out.
Yeah.
So that energy you're calling to you.
Exactly. And you don't want to deal with a lot of these spirits with lower level energies. And with certain spirits, especially as you're coming into these ATRs and you're serving them, you're connecting to certain things. And I remember, with your guidance and you teaching me, with a certain spirit that was coming towards me was actually causing me to feel a certain type of way, but I was able to recognize that current and work through it, thankfully, because that current was actually Don Tour.
Oh yeah, exactly, because that current, right? So most people automatically with that current, that energy, right? The easiest point of connection is anger and rage.
Ooh, and remember when I first came, I was like on this love and light kick, and I was like, I'm a love and light, I'm
Spiritual
celibate.
cover up.
Ooh, right? She came through and was like, no, that's not how we moving. I'm gonna teach you. And she came through really strange, and I was just like, oh my God, I'm gonna lose my mind. Why am I so angry? And turns out it was just her current teeth coming through with a lesson, right? Learning balance.
Something that you needed to resolve.
Yeah, because
Right?
I
Ignored it.
I was never like I had a part of my life that I was angry, and I was, if you came at me, I wanted to fight you, but I had to resolve that. And then when I left, right, because I rebuilt my whole entire life, and I was all about, no, everything's gonna be zen and I'm gonna be at peace, and I found that, right, it was amazing, it was wonderful. But any little inconvenience with a person or conflict started to bring that bubble up, that rage. And it took her coming in to be like, there's a purpose for that rage. You have to utilize that energy when it's necessary, but you have to learn when to use it.
Yeah, because like you had basically kind of like worked your way out of being a ghetto superstar, right? And like trying to be all angry, etc. all, all my god kids start off as ghetto superstars, okay? It's
Hilarious.
just what we are, okay? It's part of the transformation process. Like the diamond don't come out looking beautiful just right when you take it from the mountain.
No,
If
no.
case, everybody would just buy it from the mountain and not from the jeweler. All right. And that happens, and the spirit comes to show us something and to really help us resolve. And sometimes a lot of people do that where they kind of like bypass it, right?
Mhm.
Like, let me force myself to be zen,
Yeah.
force myself to be this way, but you're still using force in order to enforce something, right? And so what ends up happening often is a lot of people find it come either that rage sits in you or it starts to become passive aggressive at other people,
Yes.
right? And I just wanted to, answer a comment here because I don't want like to when we read back we don't even know, you know, um where it goes, right? So somebody said it just blew my mind y'all putting it like that. Yeah, this is kind of the difference between listening to people who have experience and do the work and have the wisdom and the knowledge truly versus
People passing judgment.
yeah, and people who haven't really don't know their craft. It boils down to knowing your craft and really working your craft, right? Then someone says, I love Metrezi. She's a lot, but when you let her in, she comes through for you big time. It's all about understanding. 100. You can start to become one of those things if you're around them long enough, though, correct? Yes, you can. Hi, Mambo Sandra. Hi. Yeah, balance. So that's another thing is the energy of environment, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's why doing personal work is so important, not just services, magic, or as I put it, humat majap. Yeah, anybody can do some humat majap. Anybody can, light a candle, da 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 da. And hi, goddess mother. So anybody can do any type of shit like that. But yeah, if you're in an environment that's constantly filled with that, it can affect you.
Yeah.
It can affect you. However, like if you don't have it in you, it's gonna affect you differently.
Yeah.
It's gonna make you want to not be around those
Yeah.
people. Right? Bendiciones, Elias mucho. It's gonna make you not want to be around those people. If you're in an environment where people carry a lot of negativity, a lot of anger, a lot of violence, and this is really important for spiritual workers,
Yeah.
right? Because you're dealing with people who are coming in with exactly that. Yeah. And so even if you've resolved it for yourself, you're gonna get drained. There's gonna be a time where you have to like leave and leave that person to the side,
Yeah.
you know, and even if you've resolved it, like we say, like hasta Jesús descansó, even Jesus took a rest.
Yeah.
You know.
He technically took 3.
Yeah. You know, you can't be in battle all the time with things.
No. That is not rest.
No.
You need to recuperate. The brain, the body, the mind, and the spirit can't constantly be at war.
Now, somebody made a comment about like they're currently in Isheshe, which for those who don't know that tradition, that's an African tradition around the Orishas, but they're attracted to other ATRs, drawn to other ATRs. And I think you know something about having been around various ATRs. I definitely do. And um somebody I want to mention here, somebody agrees. They said they were raised by a loving light mother and a ghetto superstar dad. And I'll get over it, but I might be a little dramatic at first. Yeah, this is what it is. It is what it is.
Oh, Pop,
But
that's Veronica.
oh, Veronica, hey, lovely, hey, darling, I love it. So being in multiple ATRs.
I don't. When I first started my spiritual, well, I, as a child, like I mentioned, and other times I used to have those with me and stuff like that, and to talk to them. But and coming up in New York City, the most biggest ATR that's practiced is Santo. So I started my journey with my first godparent about like 16, 17. Outside of that, it was just like my family, but it was very much untalked about, you know, hush, hush, keep quiet, kind of thing. And it was just like, the only thing that was said was, you're special. And I was just like, I don't know what that means. Like, but I knew that nobody else around me was experiencing these things. So, I didn't really talk about it with people. But when my first spiritual godparent, she was Santo based, Espiritismo. So that was like the first, right? So then I started getting exposed, going to centros and all these different misas and stuff like that. And then there was a lot of santeros and santeras, and they wanted me to they always wanted to initiate me. And I was always like, I don't want to, I didn't want to I just didn't feel that path connected with me. And I just didn't think it was. And then when I literally picked up and left, like I picked up and left and moved and bought a house and was like, I'm cutting everything off and I'm finding my way in this world some way or another, because it's not here. Then I found you. But I always knew my path it had to do with certain same deities, but not all. And I was always given the same message with any place I went to, whether it was a santero, whether it was even and that kind of solidified things for me, because when I did my initiation, I was given one rule. And makes sense, because the one rule is something that they actually do in Santo, with the blood on the head and stuff like that. That was my rule for life everywhere. And for whatever reason, so for me, it was like, I can't do that, then why would I be a part of that tradition that didn't make
Ruin.
sense? And actually, on my journey to find my path, me and you just missed each other in New Orleans. And there was a beautiful tata that gave me a reading. That he's a wonderful man. I think he's still working at the temple over there, but he read me. He told me a bunch of stuff that guided me, and then I found you.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, so that's 100%, right? I always say to people, like, a lot of times you're going to be exposed to whatever is most prevalent wherever you're at, right? And in a lot of these traditions, a lot of these things, um, first off, a lot of people, everything is initiate tomorrow.
Yeah.
Mañana te vamos a corona. Like, it's like, and you need it right away.
Oh,
Okay.
you're gonna die.
Oh yeah, and I'll be like, well, if I'm gonna die, either way, I'm gonna die. That's something that was always real clean and clear with me. It's either way I'm gonna die. And when I grew up with my grandmother, Piritita, people practicing Sansa in 21 divisions. And so when some of my teachers died, what was most prevalent around me was also Santeria. I had grown up where a lot of these santeros and things like that used to come in to see my grandmother, come in to see my aunt when my aunt would come up from the islands and shit. So I connected with some of them, and immediately it was like they already knew where I came from.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, you can make santo. You can go get crowns. You can go get crowns. You can go get crowns. But I knew from a very young time, from I'm pretty sure the first Santeria ceremony my aunt ever took me to, right? I was like, yeah, this ain't for me. This is not me. Not at all. Like, it's
And
just
right,
not,
it's each his own, right? That's part of
it's whatever path works for
and
you.
there's more than one way to God. That's one thing I always stick to. There's more than one way to God. However you connect with God, and right, these spirits that we connect with, they're all an extension of God.
Yeah.
And, so however that works for you, but
And some people are initiated into multiple systems,
which is great, right?
Yeah, great for you. Like, I like, you like it, I love it.
Yeah.
I myself am, like, initiated into a few systems. Now with me, I personally was always like, I'm a misterios person. So if your tradition dealt with like Orisha and Kisi, et cetera, that's not misterios. So, like, that's just not me. It doesn't click. It's not where I fit, right? It's not I'm not the puzzle piece for that puzzle.
No.
Okay. So all my work is all in alignment with misterios. And because when people are initiates of multiple traditions, it's multiple responsibilities.
Yes.
There's lots of responsibilities in each one of these things. And what I always say to people is, even when people are initiated in multiple traditions, they're generally like something that's your foundation that makes up the majority of your practice.
Yeah.
That really is what you're geared towards. Like, I know people who are in Santeria and also, let's say, in Palo, but there might be more paleros than they are santeros.
Yeah.
Someone might be in 21 division and in Santeria, but they're more santeros than they are 21 division. And I think it's important to know what is where you sit at, right? Because a lot of times when people have multiple initiations, some of those things are really just for you.
Exactly.
Not for you to deal with everyone in the public with it, because each one of these things takes a lifetime of learning.
Yeah.
A lot of energy.
And there's that was like a big trend back in the 90s, 80s and 90s even. A lot of people were being initiated into Santo to save their lives because they were, you know, out here in them streets, and it was as a form of protection. So a lot of people were also, so that's why there was so much of that going on.
A big boom.
Yeah, because people were coming into it as a protection, you know, and some would dibble and dabble and you know, doing readings and help with their godparents and stuff like that. So that's why there was so much of it. But there was also a lot lost in translation with the healing and the self-discipline and the elevation work of emotional. So you found a lot of these initiates that I came across, because I'm not going to say across the board, but because that would be very biased, but the initiates I came across that suffered from addiction, you know, alcoholism, drugs, you know, egotistical, you know, abuser, you know, and then they would say that they were like changos, you know, that's why they acted that way, you know. So there was a lot of that going on, and that really kind of turned me off. You know, I'm turned off by a patriarchal system regardless. That's why, you know, I tried going to church when I was young, right, to figure out what was it, because I didn't understand what was going on with me. I was a young girl, I had gifts, and I didn't know what was happening. And and when they came, you know, they actually stopped for a little bit of time, you know. By the time I want to say when I started to like boys, it was like 12 years old, 13. It kind of dissipated until I was about 16. And then it flooded in. Woo, flooded in like oh my, like a hurricane. Everything came back. And I was like, "Oh my God." I thought I was going crazy. Like I really did. And at that time, thankfully, you know, that first teacher I have, you know, I'm not with her anymore, but that first teacher helped me because I really thought I was losing my mind. And when she came to me, I needed somebody to guide me. And she did. And that was the purpose of that first relationship, you know, with her. And then afterwards, unfortunately, so a lot of things just weren't working out anymore. I didn't feel the connection, the elevation, or the growth. And, you know, she was still dealing with a lot of her stuff. So then when I left New York, like that was it. And I was in no man's land by myself in Jersey. But I trusted in my spirits. I trusted in you know, my guides, and I really honed in and focused on that, and I became, you know, nun like. Uh but, you know, it was out of balance, too much good. But it helped me hone in and really listen to my intuition and follow my guides where they were guiding me.
Absolutely. And, you know, sometimes, you know, you're going to come across certain people, like your first teacher, that they were there for a season or a reason. And I always tell people that to be involved in these things and really be, you know, affected by these things, it takes a strong mind. Because without a strong mind, you could end up cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
Yes.
Yes, it takes a really strong mind. And like someone mentioned here in the comments was like sometimes when getting initiated in many different things can also drive you cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Because you got spirits coming at you, different things every 5 minutes. You every other day you have another spirit obligation. You got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do this, you got to do that. And I just, for me, I couldn't imagine having to try to keep up with many different traditions, because I just give an example, like for a lot of people who I know who practice Santo or Santeria Lucumi, like the Santos have to be in their own space by themselves.
Yes.
So they can't share space with the bovedas, the guides. They can't share with the misterio, et cetera, et cetera. You know, so that's kind of a condition of their tradition. Misterios, they don't care. Okay, but that's like a condition of their tradition. There's blood offerings that have to be given, etc., etc. And that was for me, like when people were saying to me, come to Santo, come to Santo, come to Santo. That's something that just, as we say, no cuadra. It means it doesn't add up,
Yeah.
right? Because a lot of these people I also saw at my aunts or my grandmothers getting things resolved with
Without,
candles, baths, lamps, and that, like my grandmother never spilled a drop of blood. As far like once she got, back in the island, back in Puerto Rico, of course,
yeah,
to eat you might need to. But once she got here and like had grocery stores or whatever, never spilled another drop of blood in her life. And even in her life, never spilled a drop of blood for blood sacrifice.
yeah,
you know so the level at which they do that, again, different strokes for different folks. It might be what's for you,
yeah,
right? But it just wasn't adding for me, and whereas in what I had grown up in, for the most part, we didn't have that going
yeah.
on. That's A. And then B, even when I went to Haiti, a lot of people think like Haitian voodoo is like, tons of animals. We're just killing, 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 killing.
Yeah.
In actuality, living in Haiti, that's not the case.
Yeah.
That's just not the case. Oh,
I think the excessiveness of that is done here. And I think it takes I think it's accountability, refusing to take accountability, and avoidance of what you need to work on and you need to develop, because all going to face hardships. We're all going to face, ups and downs in our lives. If Do I have to kill 5 chickens to help me through this process? Well, I don't know.
I don't know. And I don't know about that. I agree. And like the thing about it is, again, no hate on like each tradition has their way of doing things, etc. But there's a lot of things that do not require, that are really your responsibility, right? Your responsibility in development and growth, that really do not require like anything as far as traditional, or let's say spiritual baths and all the offerings and all that. No, it's something that you gotta like handle, you gotta deal with,
You got to
etc.
put an H on your chest and handle it. That's it.
Yeah,
It's life.
yeah. And like there's such a thing called life, right? And everything in life ain't always gonna go your way. It's not always gonna be about what you want.
Mm-mm.
Not always good. Even if you kill the 10,000 chickens, you still might not get what you want. You're just poorer.
Yeah, now and poorer. Now we hungry. What we not gonna eat the chicken?
Yeah, exactly,
Nope.
exactly. And
Throwing that chicken in the garbage?
no, no, no. And that's another thing. Like in voodoo, for the most part, most of the time, most of what gets sacrificed gets eaten.
Over here.
So,
Oh, you find it right here in the cross fork. Half a goat on Fordham Road or something.
no, no, no. And like even to the point where like skins are reserved for drums, and like in in the Haitian system, almost everything gets used.
Traditionally, that's how it was, though, right?
Yeah,
That traditionally, Native American, which I have some in my cuadro, they require certain things, but they don't kill it just because.
no,
Used.
no. And I think also there's a thing here in the US where they're killing so much.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a high volume.
Mm-hmm.
Like even if they did clean it, they wouldn't be able to eat it all. It's such like I knew a babalao that basically, and he did spiritual work for people
Mm-hmm.
as a babalao, and he used to order for his week 125
Yeah.
chickens, and that was like a standard order.
That's disgusting. They stink.
And so like even cleaning all that takes all this time. And I think there's also lots of people who know how to kill the animals who don't know how to prepare them,
Yeah.
who don't know how to clean them. you know so then it just becomes like throw it in the crossroads.
Yeah. And now there's a bunch of junk outside.
No, and then you just threw the chicken in the crossroad. You threw the chicken in the crossroad.
Took 8
Meanwhile, you're going to go buy yourself a roast chicken to eat on
Exactly.
the day.
Exactly. Erica said eggs are expensive. They are. They're very expensive.
Oh, yeah. Uh, Erica says, oh my God, I remember one time brought out a chicken or a rooster. I was like, please, Lord, don't let him kill it, which I didn't. And I was so thankful. Okay.
That would have been I would have thought the same thing. Like, oh man, now we're about to watch this chicken die.
No. And something else David mentions is it gets excessive, but some people genuinely like and enjoy doing it.
Oh yeah.
That's true. That's true. Sometimes you can see somebody they almost like they get this little
Mm-hmm.
sparkle in the eye, you know? It becomes very bloodlusty.
Yeah, it's a form of power.
Yeah. And there's a lot of people, Juan mentions in Century and Palo, many people don't know that there's other ways to do things besides sacrifice, but they don't know that many spirits don't actually require that much sacrifice. And that's true. There's many ways, but here's what happens is when people don't learn their craft,
Yeah.
oftentimes people learn the easiest stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The easiest in sense of that which requires the least amount of actual learning.
Yeah. And there were so many animal sacrifices that were happening at one point. A lot of the viveros where they sell them live stopped selling them. They would actually kill them before they gave them to you. So they were a lot of places. It's very rare now to find one that has livestock.
No, I still have one that does, but there was a certain point where all of a sudden they were like, one day out of nowhere, they said to me, like, you're not going to go home, kill this, and then throw it in the crossroads, right? It was like, because what happened here, you know, I don't know if this happened in New York, but all the animals started to have these special tags on them. And
Mm.
because there were so many animals being tossed all over the place.
And then
Yeah.
they could trace
So,
it.
and yeah, now they can trace it to the vivero, and then the vivero won't be able to get his supply.
Look at that.
Right? So then he says to me, like, you're not gonna kill this and then just throw it in the crossroads, right? And I was like, I'm not a santero. And he was like, oh, all right, what are you? And it's in a very heavily Hispanic populated area.
Yep.
The guy, he knew the terminology.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm an espiritista. We don't care, right? And he was like, oh, okay, go ahead. Like, good. And I can still get live stuff there. And I've even had other people ask me, like Santeros, hey, can you go grab me something? Nah, bro. Why? I'm not messing up my connect and my relationship here
Nope.
because we know for a fact that's going to end up somewhere.
Exactly. No, thank
Someone mentions they've heard many people say 21 divisions Vodou is about results, but Lukumi or Ifa is about life purpose, balance, personal growth, etc. That's just not true.
I mean,
Either one can be used in either way.
yeah, it's about development and what you put into it.
Yeah.
To sacrifice those things, because that's a real sacrifice, right? Are you going to sacrifice your ego? Are you going to sacrifice your sadness? Nobody wants to let go of that victim, mentality. And that's the real sacrifice, not a poor chicken.
No, pobrecito. Like,
You could fry them up, but I mean, not for
yeah,
that.
no, eat them.
First,
And like,
still got to do the work.
yeah,
Kill this chicken. I'm still going to be messed up.
yeah, exactly. You're still going to be angry or sad or whatever,
Exactly. So,
and it might cause you like a little bit of relief,
for a moment,
resolution,
but that same issue, if I need to learn from that situation, it's going to circle its way back to me.
Sure enough.
And that's the only way you're going to get development, right, is if we, because I'm sorry, no spoiled child ever learned their lesson. And that's the same thing for us as adults. You know, we're too spoiled, you never learn. I asked one time for elevation, right, to evolve. And why? I had to evolve.
I was like, one time we had someone who came in and asked for wisdom, right? Hi, Mishu, um, who asked for wisdom. And they were told by the Aplaza, don't speak to the spirit, right? But he was a sabeto. He knows it all.
Mm.
You can't tell him what to do. So he asked for wisdom. And later on, I heard it and I just started busting out laughing. And the guy got mad at me. And he was like, da 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 da, whatever. I was like, why would you ask for that? It was like, what greater thing could I ask for? I was like, true. That's true. What better thing could you ask for? I was like, but you just signed up for a bunch of BS without you knowing. He was like, how so? I was like, wisdom comes through struggle and suffering. Wisdom comes through tests, trials, and tribulations. Wisdom don't just come for free, and it don't just come for offerings, baby.
Nope.
Like you're just gonna you just put yourself in the ringer for God knows how long, right? And I see the person they're gone for like a few years. A few years later, they come back. They're like, Papa, you were right. I was like, yeah, that's why we haven't seen you in a while, huh?
He had to take some time with his wisdom.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like, you were right. I was like, yeah, that's why we haven't seen you in a while. It's like, yeah. It's like, this is shit has been rough. This is shit is not fun. I don't want the wisdom no more.
Too late.
I was like, too late, you got the wisdom you got. He was like, yeah, but I need to be released from the agreement because
you're wise, but now you're wise enough to know.
Exactly. So then Anaisa came and he went to her and was like, can you release me from the agreement?
Uh-huh.
And she's like, yeah, I could do that. And she basically undid the agreement, at which point life started to become better for him, right? But he got his wisdom, and I'm sure it helped in that better life that he was living.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, his head was between the washer and the dryer. Okay. Some people are very comfortable with their trauma. Somebody says, well said about real sacrifice, Mambo Becky. Where do you draw the strength to let go of what you need to continue to progress?
Honestly, I am hard-headed as shit, and I am not gonna fucking suffer. And if I don't have to, I'm not. And that is where it comes from. I refuse to be at the heel of any situation and control me. I refuse. Ever since I was young, I'm the only child. I never really had a family. So I've always had to be self-reliant. And if I was weak, then I was prey. And there was no way that I was going to be prey. You can't stop me. And that's it. And whether or not I go through what I go through in life, I have to accept it. And I go with it, because the more you fight,
you have to refuse to put yourself through unnecessary suffering. You went muted there, love. I think you got a phone call. I'm not sure if you can unmute yourself, but I know you can hop off and then hop back on. I could put you back on. So she just got muted for a second. It's so rare to find a teacher that can actually help you with your personal development. Most, like you said, go the easy route. They haven't resolved their personal shit and end up teaching others. Facts, big facts. like 100%. Okay. Big facts. And for me, it's about acceptance. Once you accept a situation, make the decision to let it go or deal with it. Absolutely. And it gets very scary getting yourself fixed. Absolutely. No one says that the path is easy. In fact, we have Mambo Sunny. I sent you the invite there, Becky. We had Mambo Sunny that used to tell everybody, quite actually, you've just chosen a hard path. The path is going to be more difficult, not easier. But that's part of the sacrifice. What you're sacrificing is easiness and comfortability, okay, in order for you to actually get somewhere, right? A lot of problems have one causes because one follows easiness, right? When we ignore a lot of things and we end up dealing with a lot of things because of looking for easiness. Unable. Let's see right here.
Ha! I figured it out.
It happens. It's when a phone call comes through.
Yeah,
I
I
just
don't know.
learned the other day you gotta put the shit on do not disturb.
Well, I just put it on Do Not Disturb, but I have 101 things to remind me to do things.
Yeah. Yeah, getting somewhere is worth it. So sometimes what you gotta sacrifice is easiness and comfortability.
Yeah.
That's part of the big sacrifice in order for you to progress.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of our problems come because we've always taken the easy, comfortable route.
Yeah.
We've ignored things and then kind of like shit layers up like a bad cake.
Exactly. And we also have to take into consideration when we're going through these hardships, you have to ask yourself, what is the purpose of this? What am I going to learn from this? Am I going to suffer through this and just harbor these emotions, or am I going to, get up and be like, you know what? All right. And I'm not saying you don't feel those moments, and I don't feel those moments. You know what I mean? Lay down, rest,
Yeah,
recuperate, but get back up.
exactly. Like my grandmother always said, you don't have no problem. You just need a nap.
Exactly. Eat some junk food. I don't know. Whatever you do.
Yeah. And then but put yourself on a limit for that too.
Exactly.
Be like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to eat my junk food. Take my nap. And when I get up, I'm going to handle the handle.
Exactly. And
what to do.
don't live there. You know what I'm saying? And live in the situation. Move forward. Continue. Every day is a new day. I don't need to think about the past and what hurt me and who hurt me and what did this. As I've developed and grown under your teaching, I've been able to see that most of us are all of us really are suffering,
Mm-hmm.
right? We're suffering from some type of affliction.
Yeah. And, what I was going to say also is like, if you have your spirits, you don't need to be strong. That's what you have them for, so you can draw strength from that connection. You can draw strength from your spirits. So if you don't have the strength, you don't need it. You have a source for it. Draw strength from your spirit. Draw strength from your spirits.
Yes.
Be strong for everything.
So there was an example that I have for myself, right? I went through a lawsuit. And in that lawsuit, I was praying to one of my spirits that works with law and all this stuff. And I'm like, I had my stuff with me in the courtroom. Needless to say, I lost. I lost. But I still had comfort though. You know what I mean? I did not feel as if I lost. I felt like I lost the battle, But the real war was I didn't walk out of there carrying that and feeling defeated.
No.
And when I came out, I went home, right? I put on Netflix, put on some show that was emotionally neutralizing, had some snacks, laid in my bed with my cats. I recuperated, gave myself the love and attention that I needed. And the next day, I planned my action, right, on how I was going to rectify certain things and fix them. And I dedicated that time to that. And then I started putting myself to do things around the house and get involved in improvements to change it and improve my space to recreate the energy, because I couldn't allow that to interfere with the energy of my home and my well-being and,
What
you know.
you're doing in
Oh,
life. Yeah.
so, I think sometimes we stay stuck in those places, right? And those places are meant to rest and recuperate, not to live.
Yeah, absolutely. And like what I always tell people is like sometimes, situations like that, that's the time to properly use the television, right? Sometimes all you need to do is watch that other people have it actually worse than you, right? You love drama, you love a good novela, a good negativity, okay? Because we all have it a bit. We need to stay entertained.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's either you watch something that neutralizes, you watch something that picks you up, or sometimes you watch something where, hey, somebody else actually has it out there worse than me. So let me not like sit here boo-hooing this for like all of eternity.
Yeah.
And let me see what I'm gonna do about it.
Exactly. How am I going to rectify this? How am I going to improve this situation? Because I can't live here,
No,
And quite honestly, I don't want to give power to anybody to have over me.
no.
I don't.
And I don't want to live there.
Exactly. And if that person in that situation, took over who I am, then who am I?
Exactly.
Because that
Absolutely.
redefines who I am. And not for nothing, I have these powerful spirits with me. Why would I allow that to defeat me?
Yep. Absolutely.
And that's where I drew that power from that connection with that spirit that I had with me. And that's because I was able to stay calm during that situation, which was crazy because that other person was antagonizing. And I sat there reading a book.
Yeah. And they were so pressed, so angry, so upset, right? And even more upset, even though they may have won. Second
That's my aunt.
one.
My aunt's logged on, Rosalina
Ah,
Lopez. Hi.
uh,
Hi.
okay, right? But while you're sitting there chilling with your book, living your life all nice and peaceful, this person's even more upset. And sometimes even when they win,
Still.
they're still upset, which means the upsetness is not even about this. It's something that's inside of you
Yeah.
that you haven't dealt with, and you're deflecting it onto this.
Mm-hmm.
But you again don't have to deal with it,
Exactly.
right? Because serving spirit doesn't mean that you're gonna win every battle. It doesn't mean because that's little crap, right? It doesn't always, but it does mean that you're always gonna find a way.
Yeah.
You're gonna find a way out. You're gonna find an opening, a window. You're gonna find a resolution,
Mm-hmm.
right?
That situation is just the battle. The war was, are you going to be able to rectify this within yourself and maintain the discipline and control? Because at that point, I was a Mambo, right? So the teaching was, are you going to allow this to shake you up? Are you going to allow this to step out of your character, right? Because we're representatives. We have to maintain poise,
Yeah.
as we were told. So that was the real testimony to that.
Like one time, like I was in it, and I remember Anaisa like kind of like spiritually slapped me, and was like, "You need to remember who the f you are," and that was like facts.
Yeah.
Click, 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 and then that was the end of that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and sometimes you also need to remember that, right? Remember like what's really important, what's really that deep. Very few things are that deep. Okay, life is but a flash, right? And very few things are worth wasting your life
Yeah.
over. That's the thing with me. I always refuse to waste the little bit of life I was given.
Yeah. Yeah.
The energy, the drop that I've been given, I refuse to waste that on being angry, being filled with hate, being upset, etc., etc. And that's why even when people try at times, because it happens to everyone, people are going to try to come at you.
Mm-hmm.
I take it as a time to, like, excuse the way I put it, be a troll, make it funny, okay? Really enjoy and almost enjoy all this dedication and all this energy that they're giving me kind of for free,
Yeah.
right? And they're really upset, and mentally I'm here like, ah, ha, 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 oh my god, oh my god, this is better than a real life novel. This is a real life novella,
Yeah.
and I didn't have to watch on TV. Like, I get it in real life. You can't get better than that, you know. Remember, I signed up for this before coming to Earth School helps me walk through this life. Absolutely, Rosalina.
And at the end of the day, right, we have to remember this was all written for us before we even got here.
Yeah.
This is you falling in line with your purpose, regardless of how you fight against it. It's gonna be what it's gonna be. And like you always say, you're gonna learn when you're gonna learn when you learn.
Yeah. And it all depends on how many times you feel like getting slapped.
Exactly.
Yeah. How much of a, like, how big are you into BDSM? Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. How,
Yes.
how much are you into getting beat the hell up?
Right. No.
Right.
Wow.
I don't care for it that much. I don't really care for it to get beat up.
I'm
You know,
I'm
you
gentle.
beat me up, pay me. like, I'm not gonna just get beat up for free.
No, no.
It's all about, like how much do you enjoy that shit? I don't.
No.
I
No.
if you like it, I love it for you.
Exactly.
It's just not my cup of tea. Everybody likes different flavors.
Exactly.
Okay, so I don't want to be processing shit forever.
No. No.
No, I got like I said, I got limited time here. I got things to do, right? Which basically my things to do are like be happy, peaceful, have fun, celebrate life, enjoy. Like, those are my big goals,
Yeah.
right? Those are my goals. Everything else is either like contributing to that goal or taking away from that goal,
Exactly.
right? I'm not gonna like feed my life, right?
Because if you think about it, how many years do you really have, right? On average, you have about 75, 80 years, maybe. Maybe.
And a lot of people think like it sounds like a lot, but when you do the math, they say like it's somewhere around 30,000 days, like
That
30,000 or 30.
sounds like a very small number.
Yeah, you spend that money in a year, bro. You spend more than 30,000 in a year.
Yeah.
Also, can you imagine? Like, I'm gonna waste any of my days being upset? No, like, you can get a moment,
Yeah. Take a
but
moment.
you're not even gonna get a whole day. You can get a moment, a minute, maybe an hour or two. But after that,
I might even cry a little. Oh, yeah.
what's that?
And
And then like after that, I gotta take that shit back.
exactly. You gotta man up.
Again. Yeah. So I wanted you to tell the people here, because part of what I want to do with these lives is I want to elevate people who know what they're doing, who have the development, who have the training, who have the power, etc., to actually help people, simply because our communities are filled with, how would I put it, unqualified, right? Unqualified people acting as if they can help. All right. So I wanted to give you a chance to share that with everybody here. How do people get a hold of you, so on and so forth, etc., for help? Because like I tell all of my God kids, yeah, I can help people, of course. But not everybody is for me, and I'm not for everybody.
Yeah.
I want to be for everybody, et cetera, et cetera. And there's certain people that they themselves come in with certain biases. Like they only want to work with a woman. They only want to work with a man. They only want to work with this person.
Yeah.
They only want to work with that person. So on and so forth. So
Yeah.
I want you to kind of like give the people that info.
So I do general readings. I do not do love work. Don't like it.
You're over that.
No, over that. Mm-mm. Mm, mm. Um, but there are people that are very good at it. Part of the things that I do is dealing with children, helping with children spiritually, especially children that faced a lot of the stuff that I faced as a child. You know, seeing muertos and, you know, stuff like that. Protection of children, pregnant women. Also, domination work is like my best thing that I'm like really good at. Um,
Step on them hoes.
yeah, exactly. That I can do. Um, so, so it's you. Those are the two main things that I kind of do. Pregnant women, children, and domination work that I'm really good at, and generalized readings.
Cleansings.
Cleansings, yeah, definitely cleansings.
Removal spirits.
Yes, removal of negative spirits. Helping you get to that point where you can let go of some of those causas. Because as I was taught by my godfather, because I did it myself.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, dealing with that stuff, yes. Yeah.
So how can people like look for you, get a hold of you, so on and so forth when they need stuff? Also, you make, I don't know if you're still making them, but brought me like this really great candle. That shit was like on point. So I'm not like,
Yeah. I stopped making that
it's
stuff.
a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
It is. It's a lot of work. And, you know, sometimes I would be up until like, you know, because I work too, because I'm not just a spiritual reader or, you know, that I don't just do, you know, spiritual stuff. So I do work. And then after work, I'm like 2 o'clock in the morning, you know, making products and stuff like that. I do make my own products still. Because I found that sometimes people take the joy out of making products.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
um,
Yeah. I used to make products. I don't really make that many products anymore because what people don't understand when you make spiritual products, this ain't Amazon. We don't have like a warehouse where all this stuff is already ready. A lot of times orders be
yeah.
custom.
And I make to order for
You
you
eat
fresh.
as it comes in. And sometimes things take days on the altar, need to be prepared, so on and so forth. And then people like the next day, they're like, why isn't my package here? And it's just like, chill, 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 relax, relax. You know, I've even got at some point been like, look, I haven't even gotten to yours yet. Here's your money back. Find someone else, get somebody else to
Yeah.
do it, you know, and go from there.
Yeah.
Now, how do people get a hold of you?
Definitely on Facebook. You can definitely message me. I do have an email that they can email me, Malefica. That's Malefia Den at Gmail. Or even hit me up on Instagram. You know, it's Becky Badass with two Z's, not a S. No S's, just Z's. You know, DM me. I don't have an assistant. I would love one, but I don't. I am selective with my clients, you know.
Work with everybody.
I
Yeah.
don't know. And energy vampires, no.
Yeah.
I refuse.
I,
Um, you know, I help out of love, and kindness, you know, but we're gonna have an exchange, and you know, and I need you to be aware of that, and I need you to be serious about being a client, because I am picky. I'm not picky to the point that I won't help people, but just, you know.
yeah. You gotta come right. You gotta have some home training.
Yeah.
So few people have. You know. So it's been awesome doing the live here with you.
Thank you, Papa.
Of course, we got into a lot of things that, like this live, as well as like the one we did with the feet, like that. We're gonna throw that stuff up on YouTube and things like that, and I'll, see how we can clip it up, send you some stuff, etc., etc. And but it's been awesome here with you sharing all this good stuff, because every time like we do a live with different individuals, different stuff comes up,
Yeah.
different experience, right? Um, and like David said, get on some Mambo Becky juice. Don't miss out. Like, Mambo Becky has been here with us for quite a long time. I don't even remember.
Like 2016.
Yeah. So like
Wow, almost 10 years. That's
I
weird.
know. And like I always tell people here or that come here, like we don't like, pop them out like Chicken Little popping out eggs. Uh,
No.
it was it's a process here. And she definitely went through the process, you know, and she didn't start as a mambo in 2016. She took her process, et cetera, until she got there. So that's why, like, the people that are here, like I've been saying to people, like, while everybody's doing their nonsense, we're over here creating a little voodoo army that can actually help people and serve the community as it's meant to be served.
Exactly.
So it's been awesome. Love you lots.
Thank you. Mwah. Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
everybody, for listening. We'll see you guys soon. Stay blessed.
Bye-bye.
Bye.